to the Democratic Party. You know what I'm getting really pissed off about?
Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics.
I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth.
We run a campaign that's basically scandal-free.
About something pertaining to y'all, they seem right.
So I have a few updates for you in this video. Number one is Stephen A. Smith finally sees the light about January 6th. President Biden believes his presidency was scandal-free. Van Jones recognizes the genius of Trump. And yes, we're going to update you on the mysterious drones. All of this and more in this video. But let's start with Stephen A. Smith and his awakening. Watch.
And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged, the Democrats are this or that, they're talking about us, but look at what they do. We don't know all the details. It's a report. Justice Department comes out with this. That's not my big issue. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way.
So my reaction to this is about the fact that there are more people like Stephen A. Smith finally coming out, and they're not afraid to say exactly what we've been saying, especially over the past 4 years. We know already that January 6th is a sham. We know that people were set up. We know that people were overly prosecuted. They talk about they are the party of justice and law and order. Well, they definitely abused that, and they used that day as justification to do it. And that's why when you hear what Joe Biden has to say about his presidency, you can't help but laugh and shake your head. Watch this.
We run a campaign that's basically scandal-free. It's hard to do in American politics these days.
So it's just interesting how someone like Stephen A. Smith is finally coming out and saying this after an inspector general report. Why didn't you say this 2 years ago? Oh, that's right, because you were caught up in the propaganda. So yes, I'm going to react to these videos, and yes, I'm going to call them out because common sense would have told you at that point in time, hey, this is propaganda. Where's the other side to this story? Let me think for myself.
To the Democratic Party. You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right. I would love to argue with Sean Hannity. How can I? Do you know what Sean Hannity used to do to me when I told him Kamala Harris had a chance? He'd laugh. Like literally, genuinely giggle. He'd go on TV and put on his straight face to y'all. You got to be concerned. This election could go either way. He laughed. He wasn't concerned about her. Before I called out Biden, he was calling Biden Sleepy Joe. What's percolating on social media today? Just go and look at it, y'all. Joe Biden is caught napping at an African summit in Angola.
Okay, so clearly we are witnessing someone's awakening in real time, right? They're finally like, damn, I was wrong. This entire time I was misled, I was lied to, and I bought into the propaganda. You know what's the interesting thing about this? Stephen A. Smith represents himself as an independent, not a tried and true Democrat. So it seems to me that we're finally in this season where all of these conspiracy theories are becoming true. Now, you and me and so many others out there know that these were not conspiracy theories. At best, these were educated, common sense guesses about what was really going on here. Okay, so let's move to the next individual who is experiencing his own awakening, and that is Van Jones.
Everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote, He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime, and we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary people.
You're totally right.
Okay, my reaction is very clear. You guys hear me say this almost in every single video. The results tell the story. You want to judge somebody in a very fair way, just look at the results. If you look at the results and the body of work from Trump and his entire life, he's a winner. Now, you can criticize his personality. You can say that you don't like him and you don't like how he did this or that. But what you can't do and what you can't deny is what he has been able to accomplish. And being someone who was a clear Washington outsider to win the presidency, that in and of itself is an anomaly. But to do it 2 times, that says a lot about who he is. And Van Jones is just finally catching up to the party. I mean, we've known that for quite some time. You don't attract a millions amount of people supporting you in the way that you do if that's not who you are. And this is just not my opinion. Now you have Mitt Romney going on CNN and admitting exactly what we've been saying this entire time about the Republican Party and Trump.
You said in an interview a few months ago that, quote, there's a good chance that the Republican Party is going to need to be rebuilt or reoriented, and that you want to have a voice in the post-Trump Republican Party. Do you still think there's going to be a post-Trump Republican Party, or is MAGA now the Republican Party?
Oh, MAGA is the Republican Party, and Donald Trump is the Republican Party today. And if you were to ask me who the nominee will be in 2028, I think it'll be J.D. Vance. All right. He's smart, well-spoken, part of the MAGA movement.
You said something pretty harsh about him a few months ago, though. You could not have less respect for somebody than J.D. Vance.
Long ago. I'm not going to rehash history. And we've worked together in the Senate since then. But that is what the Republican Party is. And will the party need to change? Look, the Republican Party has become the party of the working class, middle class voter. And you've got to give Donald Trump credit for having done that, taking that away from the Democrats.
Now, what I actually appreciate about Mitt Romney, Van Jones, Stephen A. Smith coming out is because you can actually see human behavior at work. That means when the truth becomes so undeniable and it's in someone's best interest to finally recognize it, they will. It's just human psychology. You can only be in the denial phase for so long for the individuals who have some level of interest in trying to get to where they truly want to get to in life or in their career. And let's not forget, politics is you go out in public and you say one thing, but behind closed doors, you're doing another, right? Let's not be naive of every single congressman or congresswoman out there. This is who they are. And that's why Trump is considered to be so dangerous to the establishment, because he's a guy who wants to keep his word and wants to tell people the truth.
The Democrat Party is the one in trouble. I mean, I don't know how they recover. And, I'm not going to tell them what to do because I would begin to have the capacity to do so. But they've lost their base. Union guys and gals have left the Democratic Party and are voting Republican. And the Democratic Party is seen not as rich people, but as college professors and woke scolds. And that's not an attractive feature.
Now, of course, I'm not a fan of Mitt Romney. I'm sure you are not either. However, what he was saying has a lot of truth to it. I mean, the Democrat Party is definitely in trouble. There's no question about that. And how long will it take him to recover? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with what Trump does over the next 4 years. If he does even half of what he promised, it's going to be a long time until they can actually come back and maintain control of the government.
Tell us what the likelihood is of Harris running for governor.
What she's been saying to people over the last couple of weeks, donors, other supporters that she's been talking with, is you haven't seen the last of me. I'm not going quietly into the night. Advisors, people close to her, are debating about what that means. They do not want her final official act ever to be essentially certifying Donald Trump's win over her, especially 4 years after January 6th. And so they look at this governor's race in California in 2026, and it seems to them like a layup, essentially, that she would probably clear the field, or mostly clear the field, and she would get to be governor of California. It's a pretty good job, right? It was good enough for Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jerry Brown. But if she does that, that means that she couldn't turn around and run for president again in 2028, right? She'd need to essentially declare right away. And that is what it really comes down to, because there are people close to her who say she didn't get a fair shot this year. It wasn't up to what she could have done, and look how well she performed anyway. She should get to go again in 2028. And then there are ones who say, look, with where things are with the Democratic Party, she would not have a cleared field, rather, in the Democratic primary, and could lose the nomination. And to come off of 2024 into that would be really terrible.
All right, so let's just react to his first point, that she believes it will be a layup for her to become the governor of California. I don't find that to be the truth. You have to understand, Gavin Newsom's approval rating all-time low. There's a lot of measures on the ballot that voters voted for that Gavin Newsom would vote against. Also, the mayor of San Francisco was voted out. She's another Kamala Harris. Now, as a person who lives in California, I find it hard to believe that Kamala Harris will be the next governor. I just can't see that happen. I think citizens are fed up with how much damage has been done by Gavin Newsom, by Kamala Harris. So I think the best opportunity is for her to certify Trump as the next president and then ride out into the sunset. Now, I know Kamala Harris has to be truly delusional if she's planning to run for governor of California. But you know who also is delusional? Adam Kinzinger. Now, this takes us to the next story about these mysterious drones that they want us to believe that they don't know anything about. Here he is giving his delusional reaction to them. Watch.
What I'm hearing from FBI is we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes. They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet. And I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not Iran, it's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally.
Okay, so this brings me to what I believe is going on at this point, because we've already made a couple of videos about the drones. Number one, it's the federal government actually doing this, particularly the Department of Defense. They also don't have a requirement to tell the public. They are doing this for whatever reasons. Maybe they are searching for weapons of mass destruction. Maybe they're running tests. We don't know. It's definitely a good chance that it's us. And why is that? Is because they won't let anybody shoot them down. Just think about that. They shot down that Chinese spy balloon, but they won't shoot down any drones. Interesting, right? Or scenario number two, it's exactly what this delusional Adam Kinzinger said, which I find less likely to believe, is that now everybody wants to fly drones because FAA has updated their laws and regulations around flying drones in the airspace. If that was the case, we would hear people come out and say publicly, yeah, we weren't able to fly drones before. Now we are. So I find that excuse to be laughable at best. Now, here is a CEO of a drone manufacturing company giving his take on what he believes is happening.
My name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military-grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So, my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever.
Now, this is probably one of the best explanations I've heard. And it sounds more like common sense. And if I was the government, I would be doing the same thing. And I definitely would not tell the public. Now, imagine if they came out and they said, yeah, we are actually searching for radioactive weapons or weapons of mass destruction or a warhead or chemical biological agent. I mean, something of that magnitude. People would panic. There's no question. So that makes sense to me. So clearly we had a lot to talk about in this video, but I definitely want you guys to answer a particular question. Do you believe that these progressives, Democrats, and liberals, or even independents who are now coming out and agreeing with what Trump has been saying, Anna Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, Stephen A. Smith, Van Jones, and others are now echoing exactly what I've been saying, what you've been saying, Trump has been saying for many, many years now? Do you believe they are genuine, or do you believe they are just grifting? They are just saying what they need to say for the moment so they can get to where they need to get to? Or do you believe they genuinely believe in this now? Let me know what your guys' answers are in the comment section below. However, there are still individuals who do not believe in anything that Trump has been saying, especially half of America who believes that the wokeness and the identity politics has ruined sports. And that's why in this next video, where Scott Jennings had to deliver a brutal truth to the entire panel on CNN, when they tried to go the woke route with what Caitlin Clark said about her winning the Athlete of the Year for Time magazine. So if you guys want to check out that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.